An anthology on the bad, the short-lived, and the forgotten shows and events in television history. You are listening to It Was a Thing on TV.
On this week's Super Train Mystery, Hail to the Chief. Two dwarfs and a magician replace a presidential candidate with a double so real, even his wife can't tell.
Episode 525, Submission. NA, not applicable, because it doesn't apply here. The 2024 year in review. And of course, the 2024 year in review lasted from January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2024 for 365 days of the year.
66.
Oh, that's right, 366. Forgot about February 29th.
Hey, Greg, would you believe that 366 episodes or days is 22 and 3/4 crock blocks?
Whoa!
Whoa.
So we went through almost 23 crock blocks this year.
Well, you know what? I want to start off with one stinker in the worst of 2024. So let's talk about the Australian Olympic breakdancer, everybody.
You know, those who can't do, those who can't teach. She could neither do nor teach, but because she wrote a paper about it and got a doctorate about it, she thought she could do it on the world stage. And the world stage said, no.
And that will be the legacy of Olympic breakdancing forever. This isn't even returning in 2028. This was just an exhibition event, correct?
I think it actually was a medal sport this year.
But I mean, it's not coming back in 2028.
No.
Congratulations, Raygun. You killed Olympic breakdancing.
I don't think she killed anything, given the topic of this would have been popular in 1984, not 2024. Don't blame her. I think it's just a giant anachronism.
All right, now let's talk about... I can't believe I have to say this. Beast Games.
Where could we start?
We could start with the obvious. Mr. Beast had a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad year.
What I actually meant was, should we start talking about the production side? Should we start talking about the game itself? There's so much that can be unwrapped here, and none of it is good.
Mr. Beast, by his very nature, is all about the spectacle. But this isn't his YouTube channel. This is Prime Video. You take away the spectacle, what do you have?
You have somebody in their 20s throwing gobs and gobs of money at people. I mean, that's really what Mr. Beast is. Get rid of that chrome, the games he has, his partnership with his friends, and he's just throwing mad money against the wall for the sake of gaining viewers.
You want to know what the absolute kicker is? First of all, this is a blatant ripoff of Squid Game. But here's the thing. If you are a big fan of Mr. Beast on YouTube, he actually did his own version of Squid Game on his YouTube channel, and it was far better than what we got on Prime Video. So, what is he spending all that Amazon money on?
You got me.
I wonder if Amazon at this point has buyer's remorse, because it's not a good show. It really isn't. But just looking at the first 3 episodes that have aired so far, immediately off the bat, he gave away $1 million. He did this helicopter sending people to this island he's going to give away, which is valued supposedly at like $1.8 million. He's just like throwing money on top of money, and that's not even counting the $5 million grand prize. Even on episode 1, there was some sort of temptation game where if you hit this button, you're going to get gobs of money, but everybody in your row is eliminated. And in that event by itself, I know at least one person claimed $100,000. maybe even 2 or 3. But still, even if they didn't get 100,000, they got 50,000 or 80,000. This is just throwing money on top of money on top of money. I don't know how the heck Amazon is even going to break even on this. They could air T-Mobile ads till they're pink in the face. They can't make money on this. I'm sorry.
They have to spend all the money they're making on Thursday Night Football somehow.
I'm beginning to think that this Beast Game show, is going to end up being a loss leader.
Well, it's definitely leading because every time I go on Amazon Prime, it shows the top 10 shows. And since it premiered, #1 has been Beast Games. Maybe somebody's doing something right, but I think you actually used the perfect phrase, loss leader. Yes, it's going to be a negative in the accounting books, but in terms of viewership, it might be a positive.
And now let's get on to maybe one of the biggest streaming events in 2024. The Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight.
What you could see of it anyway.
Oh yeah, because the quality of the fight, if you're watching it on Netflix, was the equivalent of watching something on Real Player in 1999.
And that's not even getting into the quality of the fight itself.
Oh no, the fight was terrible to watch. It was sad. I wanted to see blood. I wanted to see them kill each other, and we got nothing.
One of the undercards was pretty awesome.
Oh, the female undercard fight. That was the best fight of the whole night. But in fairness to Netflix, I will say, I watched part of the NFL games they aired on Christmas. The quality was much better.
And the viewership numbers for those Christmas games, I thought I read somewhere that somewhere between 60 and 70 million people watched.
Right down the middle, Mike, 65 million.
That is an unheard of number. That's insane. 65 million people. So you're saying basically, how many households are there in America? Let's just throw out a number, say 150 million. So you're saying that like 40% of households saw that. That's just an amazing, mind-blowing number. But that's also the future, just saying.
And that's 65 million worldwide, all around the world, into all the ships at sea.
Oh, that was around the world. I thought that was just the United States. But still, mightily impressive numbers.
Yes, for Netflix. Now let's get into Paramount Global, guys, as it got sold this year to Skydance.
It seems like anything that Paramount touches turns to crap. I mean, seriously, they've been talking about let's stop MTV, let's stop Comedy Central. A lot of these channels are just rerunning the same crap over and over. Maybe it's time to cut your losses. I don't know. Yeah, how much ridiculousness can one person take?
And the thing of it is, they've been sort of cutting their losses with the internet side. They cut off MTV, VH1, BT, even Nickelodeon isn't safe. They want to redirect everybody to Paramount Plus. Streaming is the wave of the future. Don't get me wrong, but is this really the right way to go about it?
Now, let me go to the creator, Chico.
Oh boy. We're not talking about Tyler.
No. Tyler, the creator, is a good person. I don't want to besmirch Tyler, the creator. I'm talking about Dan Schneider.
Investigation Discovery really put him over the coals this year. But justifiably so, because he's a trash human being.
Yeah.
And the thing of it is, he tried to get one of his homies to refute everything that was in Quiet on Set. If you remember, it was a big deal that he put on his YouTube channel. Hey, this is my truth, and this is what I have to say. But I'm not going to say it. I'm going to have one of my boys interview me, and he's going to lead me to say it. That's how you don't do an interview on the interwebs, kids.
And also, what is with the obsession he had with feet? Like, if you watch any episode of like iCarly or Victorious, like, I swear, 80% of the total episodes have some reference to feet. Why? Why is this so important to you?
Man's got a Jones, Greg.
I know, but you have to keep that on the down low. You don't want to put that in public. So years later, people can say, what the hell was with this? Jon Stewart's returning to The Daily Show in 2024. It was so terrible to watch him.
Andy is basically playing the role of a double agent, if you will.
Yeah, okay. Jon, your whole both sides are bad act does not work anymore. This is not 2005. We now live in 2024 going into 2025. We don't want to hear you talk about how both sides are bad anymore. When it's clear one side is bad and one side is trying to fix the problem.
This is basically the long and short of his act. This is all he knows how to do.
But it's still not 2005. It's 20 years later, and one side is much, much worse than the other side. Pick a team, pick a side, and stick with it.
And don't invite Bill O'Reilly to do his rehabilitation tour, you jackass. No, seriously, he had Bill O'Reilly as a guest this year.
Did he at least get a chance to skewer him?
Damned if I know.
Well, I saw that Bill O'Reilly was on News Nation on Christmas night, I believe.
Oh, I saw a promo for that, and I'm like, why in God's name would anyone want to listen to Bill O'Reilly about Christmas?
No, I didn't think it was about Christmas. I thought he was like ranking the presidents or something like that.
Oh, whatever.
It doesn't make a difference. Who would listen to him is the point. You're exactly right about that.
Oh, I know who. News Nation. Because that explains a lot.
News Nation is looking for viewers. They've been looking for viewers for 4 years now, and they haven't found viewers. I don't know how the heck that channel is even on the air right now.
Want to talk about loss leaders?
You got to wonder if they regret changing from WGN America to News Nation. I'd rather see reruns of Blue Bloods all day. Don't know about you guys. And I'm not even a Blue Bloods fan.
No, I mean, I want to see Tom Selleck's mustache, so I'm all in favor of that.
I just want to see Donnie Wahlberg working again.
That's the end of what we're going to cover for Worst of 2024. By no means is that it. Because literally, we've got a list of probably about 30 or so different topics here. Just really quickly, some of the stuff that we're not going to include, but definitely deserves mentioning, is Pat McAfee and Aaron Rodgers. Good heavens, where did they go wrong? Deal or No Deal Island, which is coming back next year.
Which isn't that bad of a show, actually.
It's not that good of a show, though.
No.
The sad saga of the new Arena Football League. It was a sad saga to end the first time around. That sucks.
But hey, at least their season ended at the American Tree Mall.
Whether this is a worst or not, I think depends on your feelings. The Acolyte being canceled after one season, I know somebody didn't like it among the three of us. I'm not going to say who, but if you listen, you know who didn't care for it that much. Aaron Judge being on Paw Patrol. That one, I don't get it, but also at the same time, they actually did baseball cards of him. Topps put in short prints of Aaron Judge on Paw Patrol, and I don't get it, but whatever.
And the likeness was terrible, but you know what? I'd rather have a card of that than his muff catch in Game 5 against the Dodgers.
I think it'd be cool to have autographed personally, but I'm not going out of my way to look for it. Also, the Dancing with the Stars where they had that one con dancing, and she only lasted like 2 or 3 episodes.
Anna Delvey. And you know what she took from this experience? Her words, nothing.
Nothing! Absolutely nothing! Stupid! You're so stupid!
Now that we got the worst of 2024 out of the way, let's talk about what made news this year. Because, gosh, we got some news that arose over the last 12 months.
Well, why don't we start with the most important thing to us? MeTV launched MeTV Tunes around June and July.
It was late June, and seriously, my life and Greg's life haven't been the same since. Not even joking. MeTV Tunes is like on my phone or on my Roku almost all the time. There's always something that's enjoyable, whether it's Looney Tunes or Tom and Jerry or our favorite Rocky and Bullwinkle. I know Greg loves him some Woody Woodpecker. I like Chili Willy. There's something for everybody. There's even, not even tunes, it's the Jerry Anderson animations with the marionettes.
Captain Scarlet, Supercar, Thunderbirds.
Joe 90, exactly. But that is like one of our favorite things this year in terms of new channels. And they just keep pulling out like surprise after surprise after surprise. Once they finish one series, they go to something generally in the same ballpark. But who knows what's going to come up next year. I know I mentioned on the MeTV Tunes Reddit page, I think it would be brilliant if, as Super Bowl counter programming, if they showed all 10 episodes of Where's Huddles. That would be perfect if they have that. And I don't see any reason why they wouldn't.
In the WB family.
Well, Hanna-Barbera. They should have it.
All right. Bally Sports is dead, folks. Long live the FanDuel Sports Network. And Mike has given the double deuce to that.
Bally Sports, they just like sucked up so much money. I don't know how they did so badly where they're just hemorrhaging money. But now it's FanDuel Sports Network, which, I don't know, that doesn't sit well with me either because I really don't think gambling and sports really should mesh together. But I know I'm in the minority there because you go to any ballpark, any arena nowadays, there is a gambling area there. Plus, you go to any casino, even if it's not in Vegas, if you go down to whatever casino, there's a sports room there, as long as it's legal in your state. I just don't like gambling, especially FanDuel, being the name of the network. There's got to be better names. Plus, also, I think just calling it FanDuel Sports Network insinuates it's all gambling. When, no, it's not. There's other types of programming, especially depending where you're at. Because here we have 3 different FanDuel Sports Network stations that I receive. The Cincinnati feed, and then there's the Cleveland feed, FanDuel Sports Ohio, and then there's what used to be Sports Time Ohio, which is FanDuel Great Lakes. And you've got podcast shows, about Buckeyes or about the Bengals or about the Browns. A lot of talk shows from what I've seen. And then the Great Lakes one has a lot of golfing shows. And really the only thing I watch, even on a semi-regular basis, they only do 1 episode a month, is I like the Card Life. Matt Strum, all-star this year for the Philadelphia Phillies, when he goes around the country, goes to different card shops and does stories about people in that area who have some big relationship with baseball card history. That's the only thing I care about, besides Cavs games and the Guardians games. I don't give a flying you-know-what about the other 22 hours of shows a day.
Now I got a question, Mike. Are the Guardians going to be back on FanDuel Sports this year?
The best answer I can give you is I don't know. I know the relationship was severed. I think that was part of the MLB deal was that FanDuel had to relinquish the rights to Guardians games, but I have heard nothing about any other station or even FanDuel Ohio or whatever you want to call it getting into that negotiation piece again. So who knows? With the regular season only pretty much 3 months away, who the heck knows?
Next, we're going to go with Dick Van Dyke at 98 years young becomes the oldest Emmy winner in history.
And good on him.
What did he win the award for?
He won a Creative Arts Emmy for Outstanding Variety Special.
Plus, also continuing the resurgence now that he's 99 years old. He's in the video of that Coldplay song.
Yes.
Plus, also, as if that didn't make his year big enough, he had cards in Leaf Pop Century. So if you want to get an autograph, he's there. I love we're doing a year-end review show, and I've got to put cards into it somehow.
Yes.
But also, on a much lighter note, Dick Van Dyke's house was affected in the recent wildfires. So not everything was coming up roses for him this year.
So next, we go to Mel Brooks, who earned a Peabody Award in 2024 and got the rare distinction of being a PEGOT Award winner. He has a Peabody, an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony.
And also, he is, 97 years old, 98 years old. Good on him.
Now, let's go into one of the hit shows of the 90s. Finally coming to streaming in 2024. The Drew Carey Show made its streaming debut on Plex.
Not just on Plex, though, because the WB Hit Sitcoms channel definitely airs on Amazon, Freevee, whatever it's known as this week. So it isn't just a Plex thing. And they show the Drew Carey Show, not even joking, I would say at least once a week. And they go through all 9 seasons. It takes a good 2.5, 3 days to get through. I haven't watched it yet, and I've got to do that because I loved the Drew Carey Show back in the day. And actually, I think I've mentioned this, maybe not here, but I've mentioned it elsewhere. The Winford Louder building is actually a building in downtown Cleveland. I used to go there all the time to get lunch when I worked downtown like 25 years ago. Very historic building.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, it's got a big legacy. And the thing is, it isn't even a department store. So there is no department store in the Halley building. It's actually called the Halley building. The only things I think that are there now, there's like some little shops. There might be like a newspaper stand. But I know that the Cleveland Teachers Union's headquarters is in that building. So it does have a slight purpose in my life.
Oh.
My employment union is headquartered in what was the model for the Winford Louder building.
You know what I'd put in that building? A statue of Craig Ferguson as Mr. Wick.
Oh, no, I forgot. There's one other thing there. Some of the radio stations are located there. I know that 92.3 The Fan is located there.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, it's a big building. I think it's 5, 6 stories, 7 stories high. They don't have the restaurants there anymore that I talked about going to have lunch there 25 years ago. As far as I know, like I said, there's a newsstand there, or a book. I don't even call it a bookstore, but a newsstand. There's 92.3 The Fan and some other radio stations there. And then the Cleveland Teachers Union headquarters is in that building. But yeah, I got to catch up with Drew Carey. That was such a great show.
Now we go into the biggest sports phenomenon of 2024, and that was Caitlin Clark. Brought record ratings to NCAA women's basketball. And not only that, but when she got drafted by the Indiana Fever with the #1 pick in the WNBA draft, made the WNBA a ratings force.
not only a ratings force, but WNBA is looking to expand now because I know Cleveland, they're trying to get, I think there's like 16 teams, and then you've got Golden State is coming in this year, I believe, 2025 being this year. I think Cleveland wants to be the 19th WNBA team. And also, I think Portland is being added this year, too.
And Toronto's on the way.
Toronto's on the way, too. You're right about that. So Cleveland wants to get a piece of the action. And really, I think Cleveland is a good place to start. They had a WNBA team 20 plus years ago, one of the first teams. But also, when you look at the NCAA women's basketball, the Final Four that got all these record ratings was in Cleveland. Caitlin Clark has just been, I almost want to say magical for the WNBA. Everybody was laughing about the WNBA for 27, 28 years, however long it's been. But now this league has a sense of legitimacy between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and some of the other high-profile players that entered this year. Cameron, what's her name? The cute blonde one. Cameron
Brink.
Cameron Brink, yes. They have brought legitimacy, and also, I'm not going to lie, I just called Cameron Brink the cute blonde girl. Her and Angel Reese are two beautiful young ladies. Not going to lie. I think that helps out a little bit, too.
And you know what? I'm very happy because the New York Liberty were the WNBA champions this year.
First time.
Yes.
They deserve it. They've had some very good players play over the years, but never got the title. Good on them.
Netflix, we talked about how they achieved a lot of notoriety because of the Mike Tyson Logan Paul fight and the NFL games this past Christmas. Well, starting in January, they're going to start airing WWE Raw for $5 billion. They paid WWE and TKO for the rights to it for the next 10 years. And really, I think this is like a good move for Netflix and a good move for the WWE because, yeah, it stinks that you're going to lose Raw on the USA Network, but the USA Network got SmackDown from Fox this year. And also, NXT moved from the USA Network to the CW, so the WWE still has some presence on network television, at least, along with cable. But now they're entering into this new universe of streaming with their flagship show now being on a streaming outlet for the next decade.
Hey, you want to talk about streaming and broadcast and wrestling? Not so long ago, we had a one-night return of an old favorite, the Saturday night main event.
On NBC, yes. And Peacock. And I love that they brought Jesse back for it.
Now, was this a one-time only thing, or is this going to be like a quarterly thing?
It's going to be a quarterly thing. Their new contract with USA is going to be like 4 quarterly specials. They're actually going to be doing another Saturday night's main event special next month in San Antonio.
Nice.
That is cool. Yes.
So that's the TV stories in 2024. But some brief ones we want to mention real quick. Conan O'Brien made his return to the Tonight Show when he appeared as a guest on Jimmy Fallon. Hard to believe that was like, what? It's been almost 15 years since the whole mess with the Tonight Show of Conan, but it was great to see him back on the Tonight Show for a little bit, just to plug the Conan O'Brien Must Go, which we will talk about in our next segment. And then we got, Chico, this was great. Ryan Gosling and Mikey Day breaking SNL with Beavis and Butthead.
Oh, yeah. These are seasoned comedic professionals. In comes Ryan Gosling and Mikey Day's Beavis and Butthead. They lose their ever-loving mind.
And the best part is they reenacted it on the red carpet for the Fall Guy. That was amazing. Oh, speaking of streaming shows and old shows, Kate and Allie made its streaming debut on the Roku channel. Susan, what do you have to think about that news? Uh-oh. Ted Lasso's coming back for season 4, Chico.
I know. We saw the end of season 3. That ended up the story very nice and tidy like. I'm like, what else is there to say?
Well, they gave Jason Sudeikis a dump truck full of money, Apple did, and they were like, can you do another season? And he was probably like, okay. Undisputed got canceled by FS1 and Skip Bayless got lost. To which I say, good. Oh, NBC Sports Chicago is dead. Long live the Chicago Sports Network. We'll talk about that in our next segment with our favorite shows. But yeah, the Chicago Sports Network is going over the air. And weirdly, even though NBC Sports Network Chicago was owned by Comcast, Comcast is not airing the Chicago Sports Network. I don't get that at all. You'd think that they would carry it, but I'm not in Chicago, so I don't know what's going on over there. Aren't they doing it over the air or something, Chico?
I believe they're doing it over the air. It's supposed to take NBC Sports Chicago's place on the network lineup. I'm not from Chicago. I would not know. But it would be the move that would make the most sense.
Yes. Now, let's go to our favorite shows of 2024. Okay, Mike, After Midnight.
I'm not going to lie. I liked After Midnight to start, but an hour of it is just too much, I think. As a viewer, I went to see the original at midnight about 10 years ago, and how they get 90 minutes of comedy into a 22-minute show, especially when the show airs literally like 6 hours after the end of the taping, that's amazing. So much good stuff ends up left out. After Midnight doesn't suffer from that, but I just think an hour is too long. Not that 30 minutes is too short. It's just too much, in my opinion, especially when you have a short attention span.
But how about this? Flip a coin.
This show, I think, was meant to sort of poke fun at minimalist, Swedish, Scandinavian types of shows and lifestyles and whatnot. And it is just an amazing spoof of these Scandinavian minimalist type shows. You have Dolph Lundgren standing on a white set. He's wearing some sort of cardigan or sweater, and all the show is him flipping a Swedish coin 21 times over the course of half an hour. And the thing is, the video is all the same. So it doesn't make a difference if it's flip 1 or flip 21, if it's heads or tails, it's the same video. All that probably changed is the coin that ends up on his hand is heads or tails. But it's almost like a mockumentary of, again, Swedish minimalism. Maybe there's some commentary about, Swedish lifestyles and whatnot, but it is so funny and maybe so bad, it's good. I don't know if you've noticed this, but for some reason, the last week and a half or so, Maximum Effort has been off of Plex.
Yeah, I noticed that. I don't know if it's the same on the other services, too.
So hopefully that gets fixed. Well, it says it's a server outage, so hopefully that gets rectified sooner rather than later. Oh, but next, I know you guys like this. I don't have Peacock, even though you guys have been encouraging me to get it for like 9 months now.
You really need this.
I think I do just see this. Ted. The movie's great. I saw the free episode on Peacock. It might even be better than the movie, to be honest.
Let's just say there is a lot of material to take from, and Max Burkholder, who plays the young version of Mark Wahlberg's character in the movie, and you have his parents, Elena Ubach and Scott Grimes. And then you have the genius that is Seth MacFarlane. And when Seth MacFarlane does something, he never goes halfway. He goes all the way. It's just a really, really great show to get into.
And Mike, let me just say this. Hold on, is Peacock doing another NFL playoff game this year? Or is that going to be Prime this year?
I'm going to have to double check. I think it's Prime this year, but
Okay, well, if Peacock is doing another NFL playoff game, you got to see that they're probably going to do a deal on Peacock during the game. But if it's not, well, whatever. I'd just wait until there's like a good deal on Peacock for you to finally get it.
I thought they were doing a special deal for teachers, but I never looked into that. But whatever.
Well, this aired during the Super Bowl, and this was probably like my favorite documentary this year. You Are Looking Live, the documentary about the early years of the NFL Today on CBS. The golden era with Brent, Irv, Phyllis, Jane, and Jimmy the Greek.
It really was one of the best documentaries this year. I hope they rerun it again in February. Because they did air this documentary on CBS Sports Network like the week after the Super Bowl. But I would love to see it again because I know I don't have it on my DVR.
I recorded it, so maybe I can rip it and send it to you. But I will say, I do like that they interviewed a lot of people in that documentary. And I like how they had Brett and Jane in a like remodeled version of the old set. That was pretty cool. And I do like the fact that they interviewed Mike Francesa in it because he was working at the NFL Today back in the 80s too. And actually, I will say this. My favorite part of the documentary. It's not, I wouldn't say it's hilarious, but it was hilarious to me. Jim Nance tells this story about how when he was like on vacation in Hawaii, he was like seeing like a clip of the Today Show about the whole Jimmy the Greek controversy about how he got fired. And he didn't really hear any of the audio. He just assumed Jimmy the Greek died. And so he reached the payphone. Yes, a payphone. Called Mike Francesa and said, Mike, I didn't know the Greek died. How did he die? Mike Francesa says to Jim Nance, Jimmy, he didn't die. It's much worse. I wish I should have done that in the Francesa voice. Jimmy, he didn't die. It was much worse.
Another one of our favorite shows. Also another maximum effort joint. Discontinued with Bruce Campbell. What's not to love? It's Bruce Campbell, and it's stuff that isn't around pretty much anymore.
No.
If you think about it, it's almost like I love the 80s, 90s, 2000s, sort of like that, but primarily about commercial goods. I mean, they did have some TV shows. They did talk about some characters, but a lot of it was like different items. The original Game Boy, and I think they did a number of video game episodes actually, but they did stuff like, I think Saved by the Bell was one of the topics. I want to say Double Dare, the Nickelodeon version, was one of the topics. So the people that discontinued really focused on like 80s and early to mid 90s pop culture. They did get into maybe some later stuff, 2000s, I remember. But it was like a flashback to, with all due respect, to our childhoods, mine, Chico's, Greg's, to that 80s, 90s, early 2000s sweet spot. And it had Bruce Campbell. What can we say? There's nothing wrong when you have Bruce Campbell at the helm.
No. All right, Chico. The sequel to X-Men the Animated Series on Disney Plus, X-Men 97.
This is another one where you think they pretty much told all the story that they were going to tell back in 1997. But no, the fine folks at Marvel decided there's more story to tell.
I was very happy that they continued the story of the X-Men animated series and just kept it going. And it felt like, oh, this is like a show set in 1997, and you could buy maybe this was produced in 1997. That was kind of the cool part of it.
Only it's widescreen.
Yeah, that's right, because 16 by 9 didn't exist in 1997.
You could not have X-Men 97 and not have that recreation of that theme by Ron Wasserman, Haim Saban, and Shuki Levy.
Oh, I love that.
I thought you were doing Woody Woodpecker there. That shows how much I know about X-Men 97.
Did you at least watch X-Men when it first aired on Saturday mornings, Mike? Oh, no. That's a shame.
Well, remember, didn't he say something about Fox Kids was on another network?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Fox Kids was on another network in Cleveland or something.
Well, that doesn't have anything to do with it. I wouldn't watch X-Men because I think you guys know I'm not a big superhero fan. I was barely a Fox Funhouse fan, for heaven's sakes. Say that 5 times fast. I was barely a Fox Funhouse fan, for heaven's sakes.
All right. Well, we know you definitely watched this, Mike. Conan O'Brien Must Go.
Oh my gosh, was this amazing. One of my favorite things that Conan O'Brien did over the years on his TBS show was when he took the show on the road to Japan, to Korea. Oh, the North Korea bit. I don't know how the hell he didn't get arrested for that, where he stepped into North Korea. But also, on top of Korea and Japan, he went to Armenia with Sona, so she visited her family or traced her roots. But he went all over the place. I think he went somewhere in Africa, maybe Nigeria, or I forget where. But that was the basis of this show, Conan O'Brien Must Go. They only did 4 episodes, but oh my gosh, were those 4 amazing episodes. I know he went to Argentina, and I know he went to Ireland, and he went to Thailand, was the 3rd one. The 4th place he went, and that was actually the first episode, was Norway. It was amazing. It was like a travel log, but also at the same time, you've got Conan doing his usual hijinks in each of these lands. But also, I think one of the purposes of this show was he connected with people he talked about on his podcast, Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. Because I know in Norway, he met up with, I think, a DJ. I think that's who he talked with on that podcast. Argentina, I know he definitely talked with somebody. Same with Thailand. I remember the Thailand bit, he went to this girl's house, and she still lived with her mother, and her mother was, like, super strict. And I'm guessing Ireland was the same. It's been some time since I've seen these, but Conan O'Brien Must Go. No. Conan O'Brien Must Go must return next year. That was such a great series. And I wonder if it's going to come back this year, because in case you didn't hear, in the last 2 or 3 weeks, in the same week, Conan O'Brien lost both his mother and his father.
Yeah.
But definitely, if this comes back, I would love to see where he goes next, because he's like universally loved. Even though people in other lands don't know who he is necessarily, he brings joy wherever he goes. He brings humor wherever he goes. He brings a sense of adventure. Some of the antics that he did, especially like in Argentina, where he was a gaucho, dressed up in the garb, doing gaucho things, absolutely amazing. So I hope this returns.
Okay. This was our favorite thing to do during the baseball season. We'd go to the NBC Sports Chicago YouTube channel after every White Sox loss and watch White Sox post-game live for one reason: to see Ozzie Guillen's reaction to how they lost.
I think he truly cares about this team. Because remember, Ozzie Guillen played many seasons. I want to say at least like 8 or 9 seasons with the White Sox back in the 80s and 90s. But also, Ozzie Guillen was a manager of the White Sox for a while. So I think deep down inside, he is a White Sox or a White Sox forever. And he just can't stand to see this team, this inept team, I mean, literally the worst MLB team ever, statistically. He can't bear to see them stumble so badly. Gotta give him credit. He is a fan of his team. He's just very animated when his team doesn't do so hot.
He literally sat on a cactus because he would rather sit on a cactus than watch them play. He did it. He sat on a cactus. That was less painful than watching the White Sox play, he said. But I have to say, my favorite part of the season on White Sox Postgame Live was when Ozzie was talking about how all the players are all focused about eating right and watching what they eat. And he talked about how, back in the day, the players would eat like 3-4 hamburgers, drink 12 Budweisers, and they play all year long.
We've heard the stories about Wade Boggs.
64 beers.
Well, not just 64 beers, but before every game, he supposedly had fried chicken as his pregame meal. How much fried chicken? Don't know about that. But fried chicken and beer, that's a pretty unhealthy lifestyle. But I would also not expect anything less than that from Wade Boggs.
Hey, as long as you go 3 for 5 at Fenway, it's all good.
And related, hopefully Boggsy can fight through his cancer battle.
Yeah. All right. St. Denis Medical.
If you take Superstore with a little bit of The Office and put it in a hospital setting, you get this show. I just discovered it probably about a month and a half, 2 months ago, and I love it. And they have it on Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock, right before Night Court. So really, like, the only 2 comedies I watch on television, at least broadcast television, is back-to-back right there. And David Alan Grier, he does such good work in everything he touches. I mean, we could go back to In Living Color. We could talk about The Cool Kids. Maybe we could talk about Dag. I'm a little cringy about that. But he does a great job. He is underrated. And he's like the head physician at this medical center. And they have Wendy McClendon Covey, who I've loved her since Reno 911, but she was also the matriarch on The Goldbergs. She kept Jeff Garlin in check. That's all you need to know. And she does an amazing job on this as well. Hopefully this sees a little bit longer life than just this first season, but it's getting a lot of acclaim from everywhere I've seen. So I think we're definitely going to see future seasons of St. Denis Medical.
Okay, some shows that we'll briefly mention: Fallout on Amazon Prime, Knuckles on Paramount Plus, which is kind of fitting because Sonic 3 just came out.
And is killing it, by the way.
Wait, you mean this isn't a documentary about Bill Knuckles?
No, we're talking about Knuckles from the Sonic games.
I realized that. I was just hoping there'd be a Bill Knuckles joke in here.
But I gotta appreciate that midway through it becomes like a comedy about bowling.
Bowling?
Yeah, bowling is like a central plot in this series with Knuckles.
Okay, this ain't your Sonic Spinball. All right.
And Carrie Elways is involved. And it's great.
Anything Carrie Elwes does is great.
Clipped, the docu-series about Donald Sterling. Now I gotta say, when you have Ed O'Neill playing Donald Sterling, let's be quite honest, it's gonna be gold.
I didn't see this. Was it gold?
It was gold. And speaking of gold, on Peacock during the Olympics, Gold Zone. What happens when you take Scott Hansen from NFL Red Zone and put him into the Olympics? Greatness ensues. But for the first time ever on Gold Zone, you had Scott Hansen with Andrew Siciliano, previously of the DirecTV version of Red Zone.
And presently radio announcer for the Browns.
Yes. High potential we talked about with Caitlin Olsen from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia on ABC. The Penguin, Chico.
This is how Oswald Cobblepot became a member of the Rogues Gallery, if you will.
But Kristen Milotti on that show. Oh, I'd take a bullet for her on that show. And we'll give this, since we're in the last month of the year, Skeleton Crew on Disney Plus. When you have Jude Law with John Watts, who we already know how great he is from the Spider-Man MCU movies, you know you have something special there. It's Stranger Things if it was Star Wars, which is awesome.
With that, we're going to end the first part of our year in review. The second part, we're going to go over what shows ended in 2024, and also we're going to do our In Memoriam segment. And that's going to be coming in the very near future, right here on It Was a Thing on TV. Stay tuned. We'll be back with part 2 very shortly.
And